And Lacey said she was supposed to be evaluator too.
Yeah, that was me, I messed up. But she was very willing to be a speech evaluator, but I had David was on the other schedule, so
Okay,
we're
that's
good.
fine.
All right, well, good news. Welcome to Toastmasters, and we're in the Carney Conference Center, room 1. You have been in room 2, and apparently we weren't supposed to be there, but that's okay, it all worked out. And so sometimes we'll be here, and if we're not in here, then we'll be in the boardroom, but there's usually another Toastmaster here, so we kind of just walk to wherever everybody is. Welcome back, Jessica. We have a guest, Rochelle Roberts, so that's always nice. It's nice to have you back. Let's all stand and we'll do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I promise I am going to either memorize the mission or write it down. So we'll skip that, we'll do that next week. We had our area club. We were all at our local club here, and then we had our area club contest. And that was great. David, didn't you think that was good? I really enjoyed it. And got to meet a couple of other contestants or club members from Miles City. That was fun. And congratulations, Alan. Alan won. Yeah, that was great. Yeah. Except he was so good, I had to vote on him with tears in my eyes because it was so good. Very touching. And then we have our area governor here today to do his area governor visit, leadership visit. You want to give us more information on that?
When you call on me as a Toastmaster,
Toastmaster, then you'll give us all the information.
I will do my thing.
That sounds good. Okay. All right. Something was brought to my attention, and I thought I'd share with that. LOL. We all know that means laugh out loud. And if you listened to my speech a couple weeks ago, you learned that BOA stands for Branch Office Administrator.
Say that again.
BOA, Branch Office Administrator.
Branch
Office. Yep. Okay. But then on our schedule, it has S, SE, FG. Do we all know what those mean? I kind of had to guess and assume that FG was fair game. But I thought that was important because somebody had asked me, I'm not sure what that means. Sometimes we take it for granted that we know what those mean. So that's his speech.
I had a question. What does J mean?
Joke.
Joke?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, see, good question. Yep. But and do you have a joke today?
Let me see. I got some very bad jokes. I can do that.
Okay, when the time comes, we'll have you to share one of those with us. Put you on the spot there.
Okay.
But I thought that was a good question. And sometimes we take for granted that just because we know something, maybe somebody else doesn't. So if you have a question, always feel free to ask. There's always something to learn. And then also we have the Competent Leadership Manual that has all these duties and roles that you should complete throughout the year. So whenever you do those, I always just check them off just for me. But then give them to Pete to initial, and then he'll send it in, and then you'll get a little certificate that you completed. So I'm going to do that now because, yay, I'm done. But also with the schedule, Pete completes those schedules and emails those to us, and I like because it's on the month for the month, which is nice. But if something comes up and I'm going to be gone that day, let Pete know, and he'll schedule you for something else. Or if you're looking through your book and you think, I would really like to be Toastmaster or General Evaluator or something, let Pete know, money. Yeah, that's okay. I'll take my spot if you want.
Here's one.
Oh, right next to John. But yeah, if there's a job or duty that you wanna do to fulfill your leadership manual, go ahead and let Pete know, and we'll put you in there. And Pete is our VP of Education. Anything to add?
I do my thing during Jim's table topics.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, sounds good. All right, today our Toastmaster is Rochelle Standish. I think this is her first time being the Toastmaster, but I am sure she will do a wonderful job. Thank you.
welcome all Toastmasters, guest Jessica, and I'm sorry I don't remember your name.
I'm Nancy.
Well, thanks for coming back again. Glad to have you. Today we have one speaker, Pete Bruno, and I'm sure it's going to be an amazing speech, as they always are. And Donna will also be serving as our general evaluator. She will introduce her team of evaluators, timers, and the odd-hour grammarian, and explain to you what they will do. So please welcome Donna as our general evaluator. Alright, today my team, we have Mark Nelson, who will be our timer. I think you did you jot down for Pete's speech as a 5 to 7 speech?
Yes,
So,
I did.
okay, a green 5 minutes. 5 minutes will be the green light, 6 minutes the yellow light,
Yes.
7 minutes red light. And then our speech evaluator is David Garfield. He will evaluate Pete. Our WAG, word of the day, odd counter and grammarian, is Alan Rue. Alan, do you have a word for
I
us?
do have a word for it. The word of the day is innocuous, having no adverse effect or being harmless, not likely to offend or provoke too strong an emotion, and in a sense, you might say the little garter snake was innocuous to the innocent child who tried to pick it up. Word of the day is innocuous.
Thank you, Alan. And yes, that garden snake may be innocuous, but it's still a snake, and I would take out running. All right. Rochelle, I will let you come back up as Toastmaster. Today, Pete is giving a 5 to 7 minute speech out of his manual, and we've all known Pete for a really long time, and he's an excellent speaker. Today, he brings a somewhat unique perspective to topics, as he is a sometimes teacher of philosophy, psychology, or sociology. So today in his speech, his topic is focus.
Thank you, Rochelle. Fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, Jessica and Nancy. Focus! This is not an innocuous speech. Does it ever happen to you? Has it ever happened to you that you have lost focus? A friend of mine this week was sitting up on a beam with several 2x4s between his legs and told me, just for an instant, Pete, I lost focus. And he ended up here at the hospital. Not innocuous. Got to keep our focus. Gone are the days when philosophers sat under trees and contemplated what is the universal element. Watching a goat eat grass and produce milk and coming up with water. Today, we are bombarded with 11 million bits of information, sensory information, every second. And our focus, our consciousness can only take in 40. That means you have 10,999 and 960 bits of information that are available only to your un or subconscious. 40 bits of information a second is the most your brain is going to be able to keep its focus on. Focus. You've got to focus. It's so easy to lose your focus. I've got a student that is pledging to no longer text or cell phone while driving, since talking on your phone, even one that you don't have to hold in your hand. Talking while you're in the car, 4 times more likely to have an accident. Texting, 16 times more likely to have an accident. In fact, over 90% of all accidents are from distracted driving of some sort. Focus. You've got to keep your focus. Freud was partly right. Surprising concept, correct? Freud was partly right. We do have a conscious part of our mind today called by psychologists are explicit, and we have an unconscious or subconscious called by psychologists today implicit. So we have explicit awareness and implicit awareness. Now the choice is yours. Are you going to focus? Or are you going to go ahead and risk death and dismemberment? You see, it's up to you. Will you go ahead and maintain your focus? Or will you go ahead and depart from the innocuous and enter the ditch or run someone over? Or what will be the risks if you don't keep your focus on the job, on the highway, in life? To succeed, you've got to maintain focus, whether you're in college or whether you're on the highways and byways. It's up to you. Focus.
Thank you, Pete, for reminding us that we need to keep our focus, something I have a hard time doing often, very often. So thank you, Pete, for your great speech. Now I'm going to introduce Jim Squires today as our tabletop master.
Thank you, Rochelle. Today I put on my other hat. I'm not the secretary. I am the secretary, and I will function in that capacity today. I'm also the film crew, and being prompted by David with his constant reminder that hands me a thumb drive each time. The area governor is the liaison between the club and Toastmasters International. That's a good thing. Now, hopefully, your area governor is not an overbearing person who's trying to force you into doing things and so on, but rather someone there to support you in order to bring out the very best of Glendive Moon Toastmasters. If I was in Williston, it would be Shining Star Toastmasters. Miles City, simply the Miles City Club. What I have done the last 2 or 3 times serving as area governor is to incorporate my visit and serve as table topics master, so I get to ask you questions that are helpful, so we get to say, oh my, that really is part of our club. So I have, I think, 5 questions. I have them all circled out here on my sheet. Let's see. David, I would like to utilize you. I realize you're busy there with an evaluation, but because of the nature of this question, you fit into this category. The first category is that of first impressions. Okay, so I'm going to ask you about 3 or 4 questions, and then I would ask you to, based on the concept of first impressions, respond to that. Are guests warmly welcome to this club? Are they given information? Are they introduced to other club members? Are they invited to have a moment to speak to the club? And are they invited back? Okay. Couldn't stand to do it.
Toastmaster, everyone. I say based on my own first-hand experience, I would say certainly yes. First coming for the first time is well informed, does feel welcome, is definitely encouraged to come back. And as far as knowing what's a knowing what's expected of them, what's required, and being able to speak off the bat. I'd say this club does that very well. When I first arrived, I got started at the first meeting. That was a good start. Got my feet wet, and that'd be good for the other new members as well. As far as what's expected, it's good that we covered the acronyms and whatnot today. I was a little in the dark on that for a while, fortunately I could clean after the one ask for shell on this. And I was just a touch in the dark on how the manual played into it at first. My first few times I think I just showed up and did something off the top. But knowing the manual, having the manual in hand and having the step-by-step process up front, I think would be beneficial that way.
Thank you. When the executive meeting was last Thursday at this time, one of the things we did talk about was we need to have the CC manual, the Competent Communicator manual, and the Competent Leadership manual on hand. So when a person comes, joins the club, we can hand them those two manuals, knowing that within about a week or so they will receive those in the mail. In the past, there's been a delay in that, and so our response, and I will take note of that as I prepare these notes. I want to do something right now that I should have done earlier, but did not. You're getting a white card, blank, and one of the challenges that comes in the area governor's report is that of finding out what people's goals are. Would you please write on that card what you intend to accomplish between now and June 30th, 2014, in terms of club activity? If it be to earn your CC or an advanced award or a competent leader, specific awards. And you might make note of any officer position that you would be willing to include and serve in. Two things: your goals in terms of CC, CL, and again, we're talking in terminology here, by the 30th of June this next year. Donna?
Want to explain CCCL and what the next step is after that?
Yes, thank you. The Toastmasters program is in what we call the leadership track and also in the communications track. What you do is you start out, you do a competent communicator manual involving 10 speeches. You're evaluated, you get feedback, you get to take a moment and within that book to evaluate the club this club. You are asked to do 2 additional speeches, turn that information into our Vice President of Education, who sends that off, and you'll get that back, and you get 2 of the advanced communicator manuals of your choice. There are, I believe, 15 manuals in the advanced series, anything from radio TV production to storytelling, reading out loud type scenarios. There, let's see, I'm trying to think of, Alan, help me on that one about something about business, delivering business. Oh, believe you, I know I've done it.
Seminar?
It was something related to delivering business type presentations to try to make these things so that they're interesting, informative, and not, just those that kill you. But the whole idea is you pick 2 manuals and you will work your way toward advanced leader, advanced communicator, bronze. That takes 2 manuals of 5 each, 10 additional speeches. Then there's a couple extra projects at that point, beyond the manual. Then you go to advanced leader, advanced communicator, silver. Again, pick out 2 books out of those that are available, complete those, and then there's a couple of more things that you will need to complete. In particular, you'll have to do something that's excellence in speaking or one of those other manuals that need to be completed. By the time you reach that point, you're getting pretty good, and very frankly. I know that Alan, have you just completed the Advanced Communicator Silver? Okay, I completed my Advanced Communicator Gold. I have yet to complete my Distinguished Toastmaster. But in order to accomplish the Distinguished Toastmaster, you have to complete all the way through, so there would be 10, 20, 30, 40, you would have done 40 presentations, evaluated speeches on that track. Then on the competent leader track, you skip a step in there. It goes the CL, competent leader, then it goes CL bronze, I believe it is, and then there's one more step, that's under revision at the current time. But once you complete that lower one, and it involves a pretty significant challenge, I'm blanking out on the name at the moment. I use most people use something within Toastmasters. When I did this particular project, I used the labor negotiations at the college and used that as the project that I completed for that. So it really stretches your outside of Toastmasters. And then once you have all of those completed, you basically have to found or mentor a club successfully to the distinguished status, and you're eligible for your Distinguished Toastmaster. There are 3 of those here in Montana, and they're all out of Western Montana this year. And that's a lot. That's a very significant step. I'll move on to member orientation. Melody, I'm going to choose you for this. How does this club orient new members, and does it do that well?
Fellow Toastmasters, I think you do it very well. I joined about a year ago, and I found that the process was very simple. I always had the information that I needed. I got introduced to everybody who was here easily, and the manuals, I got those at the start of the meeting, so I had at the start of, well, when I first joined. So I had a really clear idea of what I needed to do and how things progressed. I was assigned a mentor, and that was a helpful process. And I feel like it was really pretty smooth and seamless. I never had any major problems or anything. I had some questions that were answered. Again, going over the symbols, the X's and all that. Those I had questions on the emails, like, I'm not sure what those are. So maybe, giving a little cheat sheet to the new members might be a helpful thing, just so that we know what all of the
That's not all of
acronyms
it.
mean.
More.
I think that all makes sense.
Okay, thank you. One thing about it, I'm recording this, so I don't have to have perfect memory. Let's see. Lacey. The third question relates to fellowship, variety, and communication. And my question is, how well does this club communicate?
Toastmasters. I would say all communicates very well. I like that when I first started, everybody gets a mentor from the learning, and I was getting phone numbers and emails, but not only her, but I have some of the other members too. And I get several emails every week, so I think that's a really helpful thing. I know who I can contact, and I feel like that goes back and forth, and so I feel like we all kind of ping-pong off of each other.
Thank you. Let's see. Rochelle, I'm going to pick on you. And then I still have some more questions, so those of you who haven't been called on, just don't relax. This relates to program planning and meeting organization. And here's a series of questions, and you can respond in comments in this regard. Are our meetings well planned? Are they productive? Are they frequent enough? Do we get an agenda in advance or at the meeting? Are all speeches from the manual?
I think the meetings are always productive. I think that sometimes, even when we don't have enough speakers, there's always someone who's willing to jump in and fill in any empty gaps. I think that Pete does an amazing job getting schedules out to everyone and any revisions and making sure that all of the information on the schedules is as up to date as possible. And I think that the meetings are very well organized. And I love that there's actually checklists and stuff that keep the meeting going, even if you've never been the Toastmaster before. There's lots of people to help out and keep things on track and going smoothly. So definitely it's organized, productive, and very informative, and the scheduling goes well.
Thank you. Pete, you're always under the gun. This whole segment relates to recognizing achievement. How are achievements tracked and recognized? And what is the process for submitting award applications?
Fellow Toastmasters Area Governor Jim, we keep track of achievement by personal communication, by the charts that I ask people to initial when they're done with an individual project, so we can visually see how they're progressing with their manuals. And then when they're done, I mark it on the chart as done. Also, they give me their manual and I go online and enter the dates and all of their speech titles, and then submit that to Toastmasters International. And in about 5 seconds, I get an email back advising me that they have received their award. And also, something that not everyone knows is that your employer or your immediate supervisor can get a nice hard copy letter from Toastmasters International all the way from California to go ahead and let the people that you're working for know, hey, you're making progress in this program as well.
Thank you. The cards I passed out, I would have you return those to me by the end of the meeting. One of the programs that we do is called Distinguished Club, work toward a Distinguished Club. And that means that during the course of the year, starting on the 1st of July, running through June 30th, people, two people in the group, the club, have earned their CC. Now, a secondary goal that can be counted is for 2 more people to earn their CCs. The next goal is for someone to earn their Advanced Communicator Bronze or Silver or Gold award. I completed a CC here just a few weeks ago. Alan has completed his Silver. We've met 2 of those, or part of those goals. And as we get others developing, again, these are pretty simple. The first goal is 2 CCs. The second goal is the same, 2 more CCs. The third goal is the Advanced Communicator Bronze, Silver, Gold, and the third is again the same thing. And then the 5th of those is 1 Competent Leader, another an Advanced Leader Bronze. That's part of that other leadership track, or a DPM. The 6th is 1 more Competent Leader, again a repetition, and then one of the very recognizable and distinguishable goals is 4 new members. The next one is the same, 4 more new members. So that would be a total of 8. There are awards within Toastmasters International for when you achieve this. Starting in July, there are clubs who have accomplished 10 of these by November. And it's simply amazing. We have done all but one thing, have completed all the necessary requirements. but for lack of having enough members, or see, you can get 4 new members, but if you're under 20, there's an additional condition that applies. You have to have 5 new members in order to make the grade. If you have 20 members, that's a given, but otherwise you have to have 5. Not all of you got a chance to speak, but I tried. Thank you very much. I will conclude. Yes, Don.
You said you just completed a CC?
Yes, just 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
I've done that 5 times.
Okay, that's my question. Because when you complete it as a new member and they complete their CC, aren't they working towards the
Next level, which would be an advanced
Bronze?
lead or advanced communicator bronze.
Okay, so did you go so far and then you start over? How can you go back to doing
There are
CC?
people who have earned 3 DPMs.
Oh,
There are people who, Aaron Geller, an old Jewish gentleman from Fargo, has earned more advanced leader bronze than he can remember on 2 hands.
so it doesn't
He's been a
necess-
Toastmaster for 50 years.
Oh, wow.
And he just kept working the program. That's why it's so important for each of the speeches to be a manual speech. First, it really helps our club in terms of working toward distinguished accomplishing these things. And that feedback, somebody gets some practice doing some evaluation, and you keep getting forced to do things like the Speaking Excellence series and that sort of thing, which not all clubs get around to doing.
And when is it not a manual speech? The second
When it doesn't fit, and I remember when, at one time, people would just want to do a speech, but it really didn't quite fit. Well, it didn't fit because they hadn't really gone back to look where it would fit in. What I did, this is just what Jim Squires did. When I completed my original CTM, now I'm going to throw one more acronym at you. Before we had the CC, we had the Competent Toastmaster. That became the Competent Communicator, the CC. When I had earned that, I had the option of selecting 2 manuals. I took 2 and I ordered the rest. So I had all 15 manuals at my disposal. I still have those manuals. They're still valid, but the new ones are significantly improved. So on the way over here, I was saying, you know, why don't I just go ahead and order that new set of manuals? That's going to set you back about $6 a box. So there's a $90 investment into potential. And when I did it, it was like $34 for everything way back when. But that way you have something that you can find that fits. The radio TV that I referred to earlier. There are people who really need to be able to present well before a television camera. What do you look at? Do you look at at the camera, or do you look at the interviewer during those things? Mark.
Say, Jim, I'm one of those that's going to redo my Competent Communicator manual. And the question I was going to ask you, Jim, it was you or Pete said you were going to order another manual. Has it come yet? Oh, I see. Well, I just wondered.
We may have gotten one back though. I don't know.
What do you mean by one back?
Well, when someone signs up, we tend to give them a manual, and then we
Oh.
ask when they get the second one in the mail to give it back so we can pass it on.
That I don't understand. Why would you pass it on? Oh, you just mean so they would have a manual?
Yeah, so people
Oh, I
can have it,
understand
so
that,
people
yeah.
can have a manual immediately.
Yeah.
We keep a few on hand, and then when the one comes in the mail, we ask them to give that one to us.
Well, have you got one?
I don't know if we have one today or
I don't know
not.
what's in the pile, but there's a whole bunch of stuff in
Okay. Yeah, well, I won't bother you anymore. I just.
Okay, and that's what I would say. If there are no other questions, I'm done, and I'll turn it back to Rochelle. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, now if you want to take this time to fill out your ballots and then go ahead and pass them to Virginia when you're finished up. When there's only one speaker and one evaluator, do anyone knows? Okay. So just table topics then? Okay, so if you want to just vote for the best table topics speaker and then go ahead and pass those to Virginia. Alan, did you want to tell a joke?
Do you have something funny to pass along to us? Okay, well, here's our joke master,
I'm gonna
Alan.
thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, Jessica and Nancy. It's not very funny, kind of a groaner jokes. It's kind of like a one-liner thing. My bicycle has a kickstand. How did that go? I can't remember now.
No.
Why did,
Why does the bicycle have a kickstand? Because it's too tired. And that's about it. I'm sorry. And if I would have, I didn't know what the J meant. And if I would have asked somebody, then I could have been prepared. And so, if you don't know what an acronym is on it, you know, you can ask somebody, and somebody's bound to know. And so, that's, I've been in Toastmasters for a long time, and I know that you need to ask questions, and I just didn't. So, next time, if I don't understand something, I'll make sure I ask. Maybe be better prepared. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and at this time, I will ask Donna to come back up here to call on the evaluators.
Thank you, Alan. And like Alan said, if you have a question, ask, because sometimes in just, the table topics were great. And I thought that brought up a lot of other questions, and I hope I wasn't interrupting. But sometimes if I have a question, I go ahead and ask, because maybe somebody else has the same question and doesn't want to ask, so, and it gets the discussion going, and that's, we're here to learn, and sometimes something comes up and you don't know the answer, so ask, somebody will be sure to share that with you. David, are you ready to give your evaluation speech?
Fellow Toastmasters, thank you. First off, great. Focus, you both talked about it well and also demonstrated it very well too. Your body language was exactly in line with what you were saying, but at the same time, it was also very good that it wasn't just your own show up there on focus. You still kept the audience very well engaged. You maintained eye contact very well. It was a speech, not a zoo exhibit. It was good that way. And your visual aids, in particular, the math problem, that drove the point home in a big way for me. Throughout the whole speech, I kept referring back to that. And then at the very end, I still had that math problem really firmly in my head. But there was just one that I took away, it was that. And that definitely encapsulates your speech very well. I'm sure that this was done a little bit on the fly. If there was more time to prepare, I'd say doing them one by one would be, doing them one by one, presenting them one by one would be quite a bit more effective. And since it was just a good speech and I am the evaluator, Freud is misspelled. Overall, very good speech.
Mark, do you have times, a time for how long Pete spoke?
Yes, I do, I believe so. I want to write this down here.
What did you come up with for Pete's time?
For Pete's time, I came up with 4 minutes and 2 seconds.
Okay. How about David's speech evaluation? Do you have a time on that?
Dave's speech evaluation was 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mark. Alan, as our way, Marion, do you have a report for us?
I do. Thank you, General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. Yes. Pete used the word innocuous 2 times in the speech, so round of applause for that. And so, and for people that don't know, maybe Nancy and Jessica, WAG is an acronym for Word of the Day. A is awe counter, and which is, we have sometimes have a tendency to use filler words like and all that. So one of my duties is to make note of who says around it and how many times. So just so that, and then the G is the grammarian to see if everybody spoke in the correct manner, and used proper pronunciation, things of that nature. For the counter or counter, I noticed I had 2 ahs at least. Mark had 1 and 1 ah. Jim had a repeat. He said your. Lacey had 1 and David had 2 ahs. Other than that, I think the meeting went very well and was very well organized. And that's my report.
Thank you, Alan. Jim passed out the cards. We need to note our goals, and it was brought to my attention by my 11-year-old that it's a good idea to have your goals verbalized with other people so that they know that you have goals. My friend was talking to Dayton and about him being on soccer, and she says, I've never seen you play, but you seem very driven. And so I was talking to Dayton about that. Well, isn't that nice that she can see that you are very driven? And Dayton says, yeah, it must run in the family. Oh, I thought that was so sweet. And then he says, yeah, because Dad's very driven. Yeah. Thank you, Dayton. Well, how about your mom? Do you have any good qualities? You're pretty. Oh, thank you, honey. I appreciate that. Anything else? You're positive. Oh, well, I thought that was a good quality because I do try to be positive, but I do have goals, and by golly, I'm going to let him know what they are. So please mark down your goals, and we'll pass those to Pete. Then during our table topics, one of the questions was, do we introduce ourselves to guests? And we didn't do that, so I think that would be a very good thing to do. I'll let you start with Melody, maybe just say your name and what you do and anything you want to add.
My name is Melody Keller. I am a natural doctor, practice here in Glendive. I've been a member of Toastmasters for a year.
Pete Bruno, I teach parenting in addition to psychology and philosophy fairly regularly. And I've been a member of Toastmasters since late in 85 or early 86.
I guess I skipped me, but I'm Donna Emmett. I work at Edward Jones, and I've been in Toastmasters for 2 years.
My name is Nicole. I work at the domestic violence program and Toastmasters for 2 months.
Nancy, would you like to tell us?
Yes, I'm Nancy Core, and I'm the purchasing supervisor at Glendive Toastmasters.
Jim Squires, I've probably done my introduction. Glendive native. One hat I wear is former farmer, businessman, and was retired from that, sold farm, and now I'm serving in various capacities in the community. Preach on Sundays at the Church of Christ. I serve as a chairman of the Dawson Community College. Actively involved in the Ministerial Association, Dawson County Healthy Community Coalition, and Toastmasters. Mark? I'm Mark Nelson, and I'm a retired farmer, and retired farmer from Central Dawson County, and I've been a member of Toastmasters. Well, on and off for about 3 years. This summer, the old meeting place had a long staircase, and I have trouble with my left knee. Had cords on it a number of times. So I just stopped going to meetings last spring. but by that time, I did have my competent communicator manual complete. And the first year I was in Toastmasters, I did write about 13 speeches altogether. And I got those 13 speeches in my competent communicator, which I have with me. But I have the desire to redo my communicator manual again. And as I understand, is appropriate the way Jim described it in his speech here. And but that'll, get me all fired up, and get these basics. I can really,
Thank you, Mark.
yeah, that's
Virginia?
fine, yeah, Virginia.
I'm Virginia Say, and I joined Toastmasters in March of 2003, I think it was. So I've been here for quite a while, and I know the first officers thing I did was to be secretary, and then after 6 months or a year, they asked me to change offices, and I became general evaluator. What was it?
Sergeant of Arms.
Sergeant of Arms, right? Where I would set up, which I haven't done here yet, but set up before the meeting and then take down after the meeting, put everything away after that. And I've enjoyed it very much, and I've learned quite a bit about Toastmasters. And I want to definitely finish my book. I got 2 speeches to give in this, and I want to do one more book maybe before next year.
I'm Alan Roots, I'm the treasurer for Glendive Toastmasters, and encourage everyone to renew their memberships that go from October 1st through March 31st of 2014. I've been member of Toastmasters for 6 years now, since in March 2006. So I guess actually 7 years. And I've completed my competent communicator manual, and I'm finished with my accomplished communicator bronze and silver, working on my gold. And to say to Nancy and to you, Jessica, this Toastmasters is a wonderful group that allows you to be. It's the only volunteer group that allows you to be selfish. It's on your terms, it's on your pace, and we'll also say that we've all been in your shoes, where we want to become better speakers. And so we all kind of know what we've all had to go through when we first started joining Toastmasters. And it's just been very helpful to me, and I know that everybody else here could say as well. Thank you.
My name is Dave Warfield. I've been a Toastmasters for several months. I'm partway through the Competent Communicator Manual. I'm a law clerk for State District Judge Simonton. I'm 1/3 of the courthouse crew as well. And I'm here because in the legal profession, you're always a writer first, and yet it's a social profession. We're so expected to communicate well verbally, and I do this as an exercise to keep myself sharp that way.
My name is Jessica Turner, and I work for the Charlotte David. I'm the court clerk.
You're listening.
Yes.
My name is Rochelle Standish, and I've been a member of Toastmasters for about 4 or 5 months now. I'm halfway through my competent communication manual, and I have been attending meetings since the fall of 2011. And I joined Toastmasters because I think it's a nice, safe place, welcoming place to just get to learn how to speak better and communicate better with people, and make mistakes and fix them. So it's nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Rochelle. I agree, it is very beneficial and supportive, that's what I like. do not like standing up here, I don't like speaking even though I do, yeah, except for dating. I had the kids and their friends, had to drop them off, and of course I'm chatting with the youngest one, drop him off, and then start chatting with the parents, and Dayton turns to me and says, "You don't need Toastmasters, you don't have any problem talking." Oh, thanks a lot. But I think Toastmasters is very beneficial and enjoyable. Our next meeting, I believe we are going to have a third Thursday meeting, and I'm going to let Pete tell us more about that because he's going to be our host at the Prairie Development Center next Thursday. Yes, Virginia?
You did ask for who was voted as best in the topics person.
Oh, I didn't.
That was Rochelle.
That's another benefit of Toastmasters. We all take care of each other. Thank you, Rochelle. Good job. Well done, Pete.
Thank you, Donna. Appreciate your leadership. And thanks for bringing Dave to one of our meetings. I hope you'll bring him again. Okay. So indeed, at the officers meeting last week, we decided that we want to give everyone who would like it an opportunity to do at least one speech a month. And with various things we've done recently, the local and area speech contests, the annual contests, and also the governor's meeting and other things that we're doing, we need those third Thursdays for speechathons, which are kind of cool. It means if you look at your schedule, it means everybody except me can give a speech because I'm Toastmaster that day. And so what I'd like to know is who wants to give a speech next week. I know Melody said if she wasn't ready today, she'd be ready next week. So you're on the list, right? Okay. So who else would like to give a speech next week? Okay. All right, excellent. All right, and others may go ahead and let me know that they would like to do that, but that at least gives us 3. And I'll borrow some table topics from my daughter again in case we don't fill the day with speeches, so you all have a chance to speak who attend. So until, well, let's talk a little bit about the holidays, because guess what? Halloween's just around the corner, and hence Thanksgiving and Christmas. Although I'm not real keen to see Christmas things out in the stores yet. We better be thinking a little bit ahead, because Toastmasters for November and December already meet third Thursdays to avoid conflict with the holidays. So if you're working on your day planner or whatever you do, remember that our meetings for November and December will be second and third Thursdays. We will not meet fourth Thursdays. So that's been our custom since the beginning of recorded time, just so you know. And then, guess what? By the time we get to January, there is room at the end, and we can have our third Thursday meetings here as well. So thank you for those who are volunteering to speak. If all of a sudden you wake up from a dream early in the morning and think, hey, I want to give a speech next week at Toastmasters, go ahead and email or phone me.
Fourth Thursday too, right?
So this month we will indeed have our usual fourth Thursday month meeting here.
So January comes second and fourth, and you can have a third.
And then January we're back to having second, thirds, and fourths. Correct. Yeah. And so 2 weeks from now, Virginia, I'll get here early to help with the cart because of the great big vacuum I showed you with the way that door works. And then I've got a doctor's appointment right after, so I'm hoping Alan can stay a little bit and help me put it away before Thursday. When Jim's up or down to
Sioux Falls.
Sioux Falls, open it up with Toastmasters International. Okay, so that concludes me. I think we're back to either Donna or Rochelle to take us home.
I'm sure I left the pen up here and I'll have to put my hands for focus. I really do. Alright, I thought this was a great meeting, and Rochelle, you did a wonderful job as Toastmaster. Good job. And be sure to pass your manual. And you can pass those manuals to Pete to initial each time you do a job. It doesn't have to be at the end. I think you probably prefer to do it as they get done. So we will see hopefully everyone next Thursday, which will be at the Prairie Development Center for our third Thursday meeting.
Valentine Street.
Yep,
Yep.
thank you. And then the fourth Thursday, we will be back here, in the County Conference Center. All right, thank you.
Did I get cards from everybody? Thank you.
Make my life easy.
Is it Corb, K-O-R-B?
Are you with that?
Are you from here originally? You've been here for a long time.
I'll let you do that.
Oh, okay. Is that a maiden name, the Corb? Oh, okay.
I know I've seen you, for forever and forever, but, I don't know if we ever formally met, Jim Squire.
What, you work in purchasing?
Okay, oh my, I served on the board here, 20 years ago. How long have you been in purchasing?
I've been here for 7 years.
For how long?
For over 40.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember when Angela Crispoli and I were on the board? Do you remember that far back?
I don't know.
Because I remember going down to purchasing and just getting some information.
I gotta go come back and put my Carol away.
Yeah, well, you remember Don Boston, who was our administrator way back when.
Yes, yes.
And then prior to that, we had, you recall the program, it was called something about, was it a rural health initiative, sure, or something, and we had some federal funding for some doctors in the area. And the board was kind of confused because really here we had something that was a federal program handed to us, and so it was always like, now are we talking about the federally funded part of our effort, or are we talking about what we're about, up and about? So,
Yeah.
but anyway,
Okay.
no, that was just information for you to get an idea of what was about to happen. And you can see what I did there, I just picked off the top and let people respond.
So actually, no, you're 5 to 7 on
To
this.
answer questions.
Yeah. Okay.
People know the answers better than I do, well, why should I presumptuously speak for someone else? Good to have you here.
Yes, thank you. And you're welcome to join us next Thursday at
So
Prairie
that
Development.
gives you up to 10 minutes, which is fine. So